Yeah, most likely something. Okay, yeah, the eye line's fine. It looks good. I'm glad I adjusted my mic too, because we're bracketed. Like your my mic and your mic, are framing us. So this is good. Stop fucking with your mic. No, no, no. Leave, leave it where it is. It's good. We're good.
What if can our mics touch tips? Can they touch? Can they?
I don't want your mic coming over here. Get it back. Get it back. Get it back where it goes. Get it back.
All right.
We can
All right.
we can put this on the back of the video as like a B-reel.
Nah, this will keep people watching. Welcome to Comics in the Making. My name is Ryan Holgerson. I'm the creator of Slackmatic, and I'm joined, as always, by Levi Erickson, the creator of The Big. Levi, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm still tired from last week.
Yeah. Man, I'm tired because I've been up off and on since like 5:30 today. And I'm not used to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, my wife is going out of town, and so I was getting up to help her bring luggage downstairs and stuff like that. And then I thought I was going back to sleep, and then a couple hours later, she wasn't leaving directly. She had some stuff to do at work, and then she was like, "Hey, do you want to go to Waffle House?" And I'm like,
Aw.
"Sure."
Yeah,
So then I went to
yeah.
Waffle House, and yeah, but I took like a cat like power nap. So,
Well, good.
but yeah. Hey,
What?
but before we get into the show, I wanted to mention something.
Go ahead.
This is for old school comics in the making viewers, people that have go all the way back to like I think my second appearance on the show as a host. And I talked about Dune and how much I thought how boring I thought the movie was.
Yeah.
Well, I finally watched Dune Part 2, the new movie, and I just wanted to give an update for everybody
Good.
who might have been waiting these almost 2 years now to see how I felt.
Yeah.
And it's still boring.
There it is.
In fact, it took me 2 times watching that movie to try and get through the second part.
Hold up. You watched a movie, you evaluated your experience, you determined it was boring, so you said, you know what, this needs a second look.
Yep.
Is that how you were trying to get?
Well, I wanted to see how it ended. I watched the first part, and I was like, okay, it's kind of boring, but it had its moments. And I'm like, surely the second part is going to be just nonstop action.
I mean, yeah, typically you want to ramp it up in the second act, right?
Right. And I mean, I guess there was some, but no, still boring. Still boring. It's not for me. It's not for me, guys. I guess the problem is I'm just not smart enough to understand.
That's the problem, and that's why you don't like DC Comics and the Green Lantern.
Yep.
You're just not on the level required mentally to appreciate those things.
The problem is I just enjoy entertainment, and I think that's the problem. I like stuff that's good and that's like fun and exciting and keeps your attention. And
not everything falls in that bucket.
No. Sometimes you get Dune.
Yeah.
And Dune Part 2. And I'm not going to watch. I am not going to watch Dune Part 3.
Yeah, I'll just say for the record, since we're sharing and we're being open, I've never read Dune. I
haven't read it.
I think I've tried watching the original movie. I have no interest in anything Dune. To be honest, I don't want to go ride a dirt bike in a dune. I don't want to try to hike up a dune. I camped at Algodones Dunes State Park, and we had a sandstorm that blew the tents over. I don't want to go back there. Dune, I don't want it. I don't want anything about it. I don't. It's fine. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying you're bad. All I'm saying is, for me, for my life's journey, which I already have a majority of my life behind me, I just don't need Dune or anything Dune-y to make me feel like I've lived a full life.
To quote one of the greatest heroes of all movies, I hate sand.
The sand gets every Kramer, right? You know, from the episode.
Yeah.
Is anyone a marine biologist?
So Levi.
Yeah.
Last week we finally.
I'll see you next time, bud.
Yeah. So last week we had Matthew's Comic-Con.
Oh yes, we did.
Also, hey, I just wanted to throw out there, if you guys watched last week's video, I had a premonition in that video that it would come out after Matthew's Comic-Con, and it did. So I just wanted to throw that out there. But last week we had Matthew's Comic-Con. And I'm not trying to say it was a bad time, because I had a great time. I did more in sales by $2. I looked it up. But I did more in sales. Got to talk to some friends, catch up with some people. I had a great time, but I don't have a huge amount to say about it, because I mean, it was good. I had a good time.
Yeah, it once again was super well done, and the weather was the nicest weather that we've had this year. To contrast, last year it was cold, rainy, and considering that it's set up, and a lot of it's outdoors, right? You know, a lot of the vendors are outdoors, food trucks, so on. You know, the events. A lot of it's outdoors, so having the nice weather really was a boon. Although last year, considering, it was still a really good show and turnout.
Right. And
it's great because you're seeing people. I had people coming up to me, they're looking for, more of the big, and I don't have it, but they were able to see some of the art pages for the next chapter in progress. So that was cool. And of course there were more creators, more artists. And that was, I think that just adds more to the event. Hopefully it was a good trip for the people that were, traveling. And because it being a free event, it's different. It being a free event and having all the other peripheral activities, and right there in downtown Matthews, suburb of Charlotte, very walkable. To me, it's like a New England, what you'd call a village. Like one of those small towns that has a bunch of shops and a lot going on for a small town. But Matthews kind of reflects echoes of that for me. So very walkable. Any given, Saturday morning when the weather's nice, springtime all the way to fall, you're going to find tons of people downtown Matthews. So that you just have that natural spillover of people, and hopefully they also wanted comics. You had people that went specifically for the convention, but you get that influx of just the foot traffic that's already organic to the space, and hopefully they go, oh cool, I want to get some of this artwork, I want to get some of this some of this stuff, the soap over here, let me get some of that soap. So everyone has a good time, and it's a good show, and they've already announced the fourth one.
Yep.
And it isn't the same date. Well, it can't be, because it's Saturday,
the day after.
Yeah. So, but literally the same weekend next year. So hopefully we'll be back. I'm down for it, and I will have more comics then. It's good to have people ask me for stuff.
Yeah.
But it sucks to not be able to give it to them. So I've leave them wanting more to the extreme.
The third issue should be out by next year, I would think.
Yeah, those 12 pages.
I'm just giving you shit.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm about to finish.
I did love your wife walking over to my section though and going, I think you've got even more books than the last
Bro.
time I saw you. And then as she's saying it, she's just looking at Levi like,
Yeah. Yeah. No, I've got 2 pages done. I'm going to finish the layouts for the final, for chapter 3 are done.
yeah,
I'm sitting right here. There's page 10. Ta-da.
nice.
And what's cool, like I really love this panel because, I was talking to, Herc, and I was talking to some of the other artists. I was talking to John Burgin, especially because he did that panoramic. He's got that panoramic.
Oh yeah, that's yeah.
A space in Charlotte, and I'm like, man. And I saw that in process on his Instagram, Frogboy official on Instagram. Give John Burgin a follow. And just like, I'm over here chained to a ruler, chained to a T-square, triangle, all that kind of stuff. So in those conversations, it was just like, yeah, just go for it. You understand the perspective. You set up the horizon line. You know where your vanishing points are. So use that and let it guide you. And I think it paid off a lot with that. So hopefully, one thing.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but sometimes proper perspective doesn't look right.
Yeah.
And sometimes you kind of have to, and I'm not saying that you did or whatever, but I think what you're talking about is kind of loosening up your backgrounds or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I'll throw up perspective guides, like Procreate's got, that option. And so I'll throw them up there and stuff like that. But there are times where I'm like, this just doesn't look like dynamic enough or right or whatever. And I'll move it around and change it. And it looks fine. It looks fine. I've never man, nobody's going to call you out on your perspective. If they do, it's another artist and it's like, whatever,
It's one of those things of, show that you know it. Like you got to get over the hump, right?
Yeah, but a reader, I'm not to interrupt you, but a reader walking off the street reading your comic that is not an artist and has no idea like what perspective even is not going to read that book and go, it was pretty good until I got to that perspective panel.
Yeah, this guy needs a ruler.
I'm just going to put it down. This looks like a 14th century Renaissance painting where everybody's just on top of each other. Like, no, yeah. It doesn't happen. I'm just trying to help, like, get out of your head with that shit and and keep going,
Yeah, and that's exactly what the result of that was. And there are times to get tighter. There are times to get,
sure,
more, but that wasn't the case, and it had a lot to do with confidence, and it had a lot to do with just having faith in my mark making.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy with the way that one turned out. I do like to do a lot of, I like to move the camera a lot.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's something I need to work on.
And sometimes it pays off better than others, and you got to be careful because I'll set up shots with figures and blocks, and I'll build a little block out of what I want the shot to be and kind of compose it. But you got to be careful because those aren't exactly representative of it's 3D, right? So there's a little bit of processing you've got to do to mentally to convert that 3D image to a 2D image. Otherwise it will, if you grab that ruler and T-square and whatnot, it will look off, even though you're tracing where the lines are converging on the vanishing points. If you're, from a photo, there's something you got to push, and I don't have a word for it, and I can't even necessarily tell you from shot to shot which it is, but you got to be careful with that. So
I don't know how to describe it, but I know when I'm doing it, when I'm drawing, I feel like I'm drawing in a 3D space.
mm-hmm.
And that's just something I think that comes over time of doing it over and over again. I did watch there's some videos on YouTube by Kim Young Gi, who sadly passed away a couple years ago, but he's a master artist. And I think he's got a bit of had a bit of a eidetic memory or whatever, and he can just draw all this stuff from memory, but he has some tutorials on doing stuff in perspective. And this is a guy who was drawing straight to ink. And not just ink, like brush pen, which is crazy. But he would talk about visualizing, like if he's drawing a motorcycle, visualizing that motorcycle within a rectangle, like just a simple rectangle, and then moving all of those lines towards that rectangle. Now, he's a guy that was just drawing it without the rectangle, but he's got some tutorials where he'll draw the rectangle and kind of show you how to follow it and stuff like that.
Yeah, put that into space, and then all those parts are in perspective. And
yeah.
When I do tires in perspective or wheel,
it's hard.
I do a square. And then but it's still a little difficult to interpret that circle in there, correctly, instead of not drawing some kind of ellipse in there. Well, you're drawing an ellipse, but it's that perspective perfect circle.
Yeah, no, it's hard.
And that's our Pi Day offering. That's that's a throwback to Friday.
I'm lucky to a point, because I do draw cartoonier and stuff like that. But the thing with cartoony art styles, which some people might not realize, is if you are off on something, it's kind of glaring.
Yep.
So you kind of have to be dead on. But
come on, Ryan. No reader's gonna pick it up and go, "Oh, it's off."
Well, no, they don't, because I know I draw off all the time, and sometimes it's. This is going to sound like bullshit, like I just didn't want to do it, but there are times where I'm just like, I'm not even ruling this out. I'm just fucking I'm just gonna. Here's the floor. Here's the window. There we go. That looks great. I know it's off.
But you can do that because you've already gone over the hump, like I was saying before. You know what I mean? Like you've got that background, and you've got that intrinsic way of visualizing that 3D space that you're putting your 2D characters and assets into. And I'm not trying to say it's coming naturally, but you're trained, you're practiced, you're disciplined. So you probably could, just do a whole issue and never pick up a ruler and be close enough and correct enough that it's not going to jump out at you or me or anybody else.
I mean, I honestly hardly ever do it. The last, I probably should have grabbed one. I just released my new book this week.
Yeah. Those ones that you were waiting that you didn't get in time for Matthews.
Dude, 3 days after Matthews, I got them.
Yeah.
Walked outside to go to work, and they were sitting right there. I'm not complaining, but I never got. Yeah. I got a notification that they were shipping, but every time I've ordered through Mix'em, I've gotten an actual link where I can follow the shipping and everything.
Right.
Never got it. So,
wait.
I was actually kind of nervous that they hadn't shipped yet. And then all of a sudden there they were at my door. which was, was a nice surprise.
Sure.
But a giant hole poked right through the middle of the box.
You're kidding me.
No. Luckily, absolutely no damage to the books. Mix them. They put like another thing of cardboard on top of the books. All the books are wrapped. Everything was fine. But man, that's first thing I see is this giant hole, and there was a sticker on the box that said "Arrived damaged." So whenever it got to the post office, it was already like that.
That's
It is what it is, but it was fine. They were fine. But anyway, I was only mentioning that because there's a bunch of scenes in that book where I was having to draw like a street scene and lots of buildings and tanks. I had to draw tanks. And so for that, I was throwing on some vanishing lines in Procreate so I could, for the most part, get it right or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it came out pretty good, but like that's a rarity for me to do that. Usually I'm just eyeballing it and moving on. So
it's cool.
Yeah. Let's see how much time we got left. How much time do we have left?
More than 10 minutes. I haven't had the warning yet, I don't think. Unless they change that too.
Well, I wanted to throw a question out there because it's something we were talking about at the show. And I hope we have enough time to maybe kind of go back and forth and talk about this. But I'm wanting so my plan going into this year was to get a collection of Audrey and Dad's stories together, and I that's still the plan. But I want to collect everything from 2023 and 2024. It's going to be about a 260th page book. The original plan was to go through Amazon's KDP. This is where I did Book of Things. For the most part, it was a good experience. I feel like the quality of the books are they're okay. They're good. It's not, you're not going to get like offset quality books, but they're cheap. You don't have to worry about inventory as far as like online sales. It's really kind of just once you get it up there, you don't have to think about it at all. The author copies are very reasonably priced. So you can sell them at personal appearances and stuff.
Right. I
bring this up because we're living through a time right now in politics, it's politics.
Yep.
Where we're seeing a lot of people trying to boycott companies, and which I support. And one of those companies is Amazon.
Right.
Now, so it's got me thinking, do I want to still go through Amazon? The problem is I've been checking out multiple other print-on-demand printers or digital printers. And they are vastly more expensive.
Yeah.
And I mean by more than double usually. Now the quality might be a little bit better, maybe, but I'd really like to have a $25 price point for this book. Yep. I think that's a fair price for as long as it is going to be in full color. If I go through these other companies, I'm looking at $35 to $40 price point.
Yeah.
to make the same amount of money.
Geez, yeah. Yeah, I'll buy a book, especially if it's got a lot of content, for about a 20 or a 25 from an indie. I think that's what Sholey was selling his witch stories for, and I think that's what I got Jim Mahfood's Girl Scout uh, volume that I got from him. I think that was the price point. But these are dense books. So artist I like, stuff I like, content I like.
Well, and what I'm talking about is even bigger.
Yeah. So that's a great price point.
Yeah.
$40 anything for me like that, man, I don't know.
I know
that. So, and that's me personally. So that can be, different. I don't represent the market or what people are willing to spend. But yeah, I think if you're looking to keep it, at that $25 price point, it's great. And the struggle is, the reason why Amazon can do what it does is because they've elbowed everybody away. And the only way to reverse that is to give these other companies more business. But can we? I don't know.
I don't know. And part of me, and I would love to hear some opinions, I guess. And it's kind of why I'm talking about it, because I'm not trying to come at this I mean, I guess I am trying to come at it from a political view. I mean, obviously we're talking about it. So
it's stating a reality. It's not about whether we agree with the principle of any of these things whatsoever. The reality is in front of us. We can, if the house is on fire, we can debate about, what the most effective way to put a fire out is. We can discuss, the hiring practices at the local fire department, but the house is burning while we're doing all that. And unless we do something about the house, we address, the reality in front of us. So the reality in front of us is the fact that regardless of our opinions about businesses like Amazon, there are possibly a large part of our audiences, your audiences, if you're a creator, that are not going to mess with Amazon. So if you're making your stuff available through Amazon, you may be missing out on those sales and reaching that sector of your audience. The question we're asking is not what side of the argument are you on? It's like, how do we deal with it as creators?
Yeah, and I think what's got me a little concerned about it. I mean, one, I don't want to support a company that treats its employees like that and stuff like that. But that sounds like, but hey, whatever. But
I think that $25 price point.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. When we hear stuff like that, and we Amazon is so big, so we know these stories. Point blank, we don't know what the working conditions are at any of these other companies. None.
Yeah.
With zero. And so I think I don't want to say it's unfair. I'm just saying that's the reality.
Mm-hmm.
I support trying to do things like these boycotts and stuff, but at the same time, I'm always a little cynical. Look, we got to go to work, and we put gas on our cars to go to work, and the gas companies are probably the worst companies in the history of man since the Dutch East India Company. So I don't see any boycotts for that because we know it's not feasible. Mm-hmm. There's boycotts for Walmart, and for some people, that's the only place they can shop.
Right.
So yeah. So anyway, I'm not trying to get political.
No, yeah.
I am just trying to. I'm trying to weigh. Where to get this printed. Do I go, okay, no, I'm going to go with a smaller printer but have to charge way more, or do I go with the evil Amazon so I can get it to, I mean, let's face it, a wider audience at a cheaper price.
Yeah.
I'm wrestling with it, guys. That's all I'm saying. I'm wrestling with it. I'm not sure. And And I'm not going to say this just to try and get flack off of me. I hope that people aren't, because there's still a crap ton of creators on Amazon that are just trying to do what we all try and do.
Yep.
I think it's unfair to take it out on them too, because you know, we're all just trying to figure out the best way that we can get this stuff out there.
It's the same bucket. If you want to, you know, imagine someone standing in front of a Walmart and lecturing everyone walking in about the evils of Walmart. I mean, yeah, do that. I mean, you know, protest, but maybe your efforts are better served somewhere else, because of the people going into Walmart. There's a reason, and you're not gonna get to that reason. You're not gonna grapple with that by, you know, disrupting people's days in that sense. There's other, if you feel passionately about that, there are other places to be more effective than what I'm saying. Essentially, is don't come down on us if we put our stuff through Amazon, because we're at the end of the day, we're just trying to do the best we can with what we have to work with.
Yeah, no, I mean, but I think it's a conversation worth having. I think we do need to look at this stuff. You know, hey, also, I'm going to throw it out there. Most things are printed in China now. We don't know what the working conditions are there. There's a reason it's cheaper over there. So yeah. I don't know.
Yep.
Can we win? I don't know.
No, we will struggle against the grind and everything else for the rest of our lives. And as we age and our health starts to fade, we're not going to be blessed with the, you know, shut off switch. We're going to lose little bits of ourselves that keep us from doing what we like doing 100%. You know, so our eyesight's going to continue getting worse, but it's still going to be adjustable a little bit, so we can still draw with the glasses. And then we're going to start getting, you know, arthritis in our hands, but we'll hold a pencil. You know, maybe I can't do all that, but I can, you know, so just, it's a death of 1,000 cuts. That's what we get.
Can't wait to get that Charles Schultz squiggle.
Yeah. You know, but not enough to go, well, I just can't hold a pencil anymore. It's like, no, you know, there's going to be enough of us left that we can, you know, prop up against the drawing table, and we can, you know, I can still move my hand enough, you know, so that's, you know, what we're going to get. We're going to get to be there for our own decline.
I'll tell you what,
on that
as optimistic as that last statement was from Levi, we're all gonna die. That's one thing I like about drawing digital, though, because you can throw some smoothing on there. So if you are feeling a little bit of wiggle, you know, you can throw some smoothing on your pen, and that'll help. Right before you die, you know, when you're in the bed and you're looking up, and you can just tell the nurse, can you add a little more smoothing to the pen? I just want to get this panel done.
And then hit send.
Yeah. Hey, Asama, this is depressing. Asama Tezuka, you know, godfather of manga and anime in Japan. Supposedly his last words were, I want to work. Aww. I just want to work. Aww. That's depressing. That's depressing.
That's depressing. Let's take it back up. Oscar Wilde,
fucking downer of an episode. What the fuck?
Oscar Wilde's last words. Oscar Wilde's last words on his deathbed. Either those curtains go or I go.
All right, that's much better. That's much better.
All right, man. So
all right.
I'm stoked. Good times. I want to finish this page. Layouts for page 12 and chapter 3 is pretty much done for me. So I'm stoked. I need to get drawing.
I'm going to go take a nap.
Go take a nap. But before you do that, take us out.
All right, everybody. Just do the damn thing.
Woo, you got it.